best, right? Let's say you have a job, right? You have a job and you come home and the only time you have left to trade is this time. Or maybe like, you come home at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So you only have this time to trade, be Asian and Asian. So when you're coming to the charts that, let's say, after Asian Open, or let's say at around 11 p.m. Eastern, when there's no volume, what you're going to notice is you're going to notice that the candles are going to be smaller. There's not going to be enough volume in the candles. Like the candles aren't going to print what they're supposed to print, because sometimes what happens is that guys will say, okay, you know what, I'm trying to trade wick fills and I'm looking at the market at 3 p.m. Eastern. This is afternoon New York time. When all markets are closing, there's no volume, and price prints something that you like, and you try to take a trade, but it doesn't work out. The reason why it doesn't work out is because there's not enough volume in the market. You need volume in the market to move price, right? This is why it's very important. Before we even talk about taking positions, you have to identify what time is going to suit you best to trade, right? Some people, like, there are a lot of guys in my Slack group, they trade pre-London to London Open, because they have identified that, okay, these are the times when there's volume in the market. Me personally, I trade between these times, between 6:30 a.m. Eastern to like 9:30 a.m. Eastern, because I know during this time, there's a lot of volume in the market. And this is the only time I'm trying to trade. What most people do is they'll say, oh, you know what, I'm going to trade the London session, and then I'm going to trade the New York session, and then I'm going to trade the Asian session. That makes no sense. And the reason why it makes no sense is because when people come to trading, you come to trading to have independence of time, and when you're focusing on all these different sessions, man, you don't have independence of time. Then you're just slave to the markets, because that's what I used to do. I used to come to the charts in the morning. So I would trade the New York, and then I would try to trade the Asian. Asian would be 50-50 because there's less volume there. Then I would wake up at night to trade the London session. That would always be lost. So this was a very, very toxic environment I was in terms of trading. So I had to make a change. You need to make a change. You need to choose one session. Contrary to popular belief, the more sessions you look at, or the more time you spend on the charts, the better you're going to get. No, that's false. I hear guys say you need to put hours in the charts. You need to put time in the chart. You need to grind on the charts. All that is good. You need to grind on the charts, but you need to be logical about that. It's not like you're going to be on the charts all the time, or you're going to be on the charts while you're at the dentist or at the grocery store. That doesn't work, because you need your own personal time too. So when you're looking to take entries, you're looking to see what time of the day is going to suit you best to trade. That's very, very important, because the longer you can spend that amount of time on the charts. So like let's say if I lived in Europe, right? So I lived in Europe, and the best time for me to trade would be this time here. Early mornings in Europe, which is going to be London Open and Euro Open. So this is going to be the best time for me to trade, because I know that, okay, if I can spend enough time watching this session, I can eventually get good at it. Then I can eventually look around and say like, hey, like, you know what? I know this session really, really well. Just like now, I've spent a lot of time looking at the pre-New York and New York session. So I can turn around and say, okay, you know what? I know a lot about this session. I know exactly what's happening in this session, right? But when you try to mix two sessions together, man, then you start to get confused. Because if you're looking at a pair like, let's say you're looking at a pair like GBP, JPY, right? You're looking at GP-JPY. So what's going to happen with GP-JPY is GP-JPY is going to move differently in New York than it would move in Asian. The reason why is because in the Asian session, the pound is closed, right? Pound's not open, but the yen is open. So GP-JPY is being run by the yen. When you're looking at pre-New York or New York, GP-JPY is being run by the pound, which is open in New York and pre-New York. And the same thing goes for the London, right? So when you're focusing on one pair, you need to realize that, hey, this pair is going to move differently in all three sessions. So that's why it's really important. Now, I know a lot of guys here, they have you guys have jobs and stuff like that. So you need to understand what time of the day is going to suit you best to trade. And you just have to do that, trust me. Once you start to do that for a number of days, I'd say like a couple of months, you'll start to see patterns.